Alright, today's video, there was a comment as to I don't go towards tin shred and I don't specialize in certain metals. I just pick up non-ferrous a lot because it pays. So we got this little bit of copper and brass and a little bit of wire. I'm going to clean this up, and in 20 minutes we got all this stuff free. I'm going to see what we get out of this little bit of stuff. And then I'll do just a little bit of eWaste we got here. This is all from the Smash House, and it was free as well. So I'll clean all this stuff up. In total, I'll tell you how much time it took, how much we made, all that good stuff. So let me get to it right now. Alright, we're going to start with some yellow brass. That's this stuff right here. If you don't know what it is, you scratch it, and if it's a good color yellow, it's going to be brass. Alright, throw this in your little bucket there, let it bounce around a couple of times. Anything that doesn't have metal on the ends of it or any kind of plastic on the inside of it is clean yellow brass. Now, there is an exception to some of this at some yards. You see that handle on the end of this? That's going to be zinc die cast, whatever you want to call it. It's a big discussion. Some yards will take it just like that. Some yards want that off. Mine wants it off, so that'll have to be cleaned. These handles, all of them come off for clean yellow brass. Some of these spigots have plastic on them. My yard don't complain a whole lot if I have a few pieces in there, but if I have 100 or so faucets with plastic in them, they're going to say, hey, can you clean some of those up? And this top, some are plastic, but most are zinc die cast. Just letting you know. Let's clean this little bit of brass up, and then we'll see what kind of weight we got. There's not a ton here, but you're going to be surprised at what we return here in a minute. Take that Phillips head screw out of there. Real easy to do. This will go in your zinc die cast because it's not a plastic one. You can tell by the sound. Okay, you'll know plastic. Then you take this nut off and you turn this, and it comes out. If you can't turn it by hand, you just grab your channel locks, your pliers, whatever you need. You just twist it. I'm a little sick. Normally I just pull those out. And that is going to be clean yellow brass along with the top piece. This is going to go in your die cast bucket, this piece alone. Let's do you one more. On this one, same thing, Phillips head. This piece is plastic, I can tell. Now this piece of plastic isn't easy to get out. So that's going to be my one exception. I'll give it a twist, see if it'll come out, which I doubt, because it's in there pretty good. So that'll be my one exception. Sometimes I'll cut those off, sometimes I'll get lazy and just throw them in my bucket. I give them a lot of good quality scrap. Same goes with this one. Take that off. Plastic. I should cut this one off, but I have a lot more brass to put in the bucket, so they're not going to complain about that little piece right there. If they do, guess what? There's 100 other yards you can go to. And if you're stuck on a couple yards, look outside the box, man. Travel an hour if you have to, if the price is right. You got to look at your gas mileage, how much you're losing per hour, how much you're gaining, going to a better scrapyard, etc. We'll go over that in a different video. Now we're on to the pieces that involve cutting. That's a piece of brass on copper. It's soldered right here. So I'm just going to cut it as close as I can to the brass. Throw this chunk in number 2. I'm not going to sit here and cut number 1 and clean all this up on this piece, but I will show you that. Alright, cutting this piece. Safety first. As safe as you can be. Closest you can get it to that brass, okay? yellow brass, it is now clean brass. If your yard's going to nick you for that tiny piece of copper, you're going to the wrong place. Because copper is actually worth more than brass. This is going to be your number 2. If I was to take my time and cut this piece off and clean it up a little bit, it'd be number 1 on this little piece. That is not worth your time. Trust me, you got more to do than that. These are brass ends on copper. I'm going to cut those off because you do get a different price for copper brass mix. Well, I do. I don't know if you do. Everybody's yard's different. There's not going to be one app that tells you what the nationwide price is exactly. They're going to guesstimate. You call your yard, you get your price, and then you'll know what you're working with. Call a few yards. Keep getting better prices every time. Oh, I might have cut that too tough. Clean brass. This piece here has no other kind of junk on it. No metal, no other plastic. It is just a piece of copper. Some yards might not take this oily pipe as number 1. There's no oil in it now. It's all dried up, but it was. And these guys aren't stupid. They know that. My yard would consider this number 1 copper. No foreign metals on it. No plastic. Alright? Now these little pieces here, this piece will be number 1. This piece will be number 2 because of the junk that's all over it. I don't know if my fingers are doing it justice. Junk all over, so I'll chuck this in number 2. Number 2, brass, and number 1. The point is to maximize your profit when you're scrapping. This piece here is already number 1. They don't fail-safe me on this little bit of green tarnish because it's tarnish. It's not a foreign metal or a plastic, you understand me? But some yards might say, hey, they're green. We can't do that. It's number 2. Which I call bullshit on because it's not a foreign metal, but I don't run that yard. So that's where you got to get with your yard, the person that runs your yard or different yards, and find out what they want. This goes straight in number 1. This is a nice piece here. All I have to do is cut it right where this solder starts. Check around it, make sure there's no other solder because solder is a different type of metal. I'll cut it once here, and then once close to the joint, I'll get my piece of number 1, my piece of number 2, and my brass. It takes a few seconds. First, I'll cut the brass off. Just like that. You can see the solder. It's right there. But they're not going to cry where I go about solder on brass. Brass is a form of mixed metals with copper involved. Then I'm going to take off my number 2 piece. Okay. Just like that. That piece is number 2 because of the solder, which is a foreign metal on top of the copper. And then you get your clean number 1. As I said before, is if your yard complains about this, that stuff comes right off. I didn't even try, and it's already scratching up. There you have that. Let's do one more piece with you. Then we'll cut some wire. This is brass and copper. I call these plumbing tridents. They go in your shower. This is how you get your hot, cold. It comes out of the head. Okay, you just move your knob up and down. Every shower has hot and cold water that I know of. You might not. You might live in a country that don't. You know, my bad. That sucks. But I'm gonna show you how I clean these up real fast. Well, I said real fast, and I didn't really do it that fast. So I'm not going to take my time and clean this up. This is going to go straight into number 2. like that. I'm not going to clean any of this up. I got more to do, a lot more. This is going to go in number 2. You could get your little section of number 1 if you want. That's up to you guys. Now this piece would be easy to cut up in number 1, but it's only going to be that much. It takes a lot of that much just to make a pound. Now this is brass, okay? I'm pretty sure these screws are brass. I'm going to test it with a magnet, but 9 times out of 10 they're going to be brass. Magnets are easy to find. You get you a couple computer hard drives or whatever, you get a neodymium magnet out of it, rare earth. Exactly brass. This whole piece. All that has to come out is that piece of plastic right there, and I'm going to show you how. There you go. This will be brass, clean brass. There is going to be a ring inside there, little ring clamp. I'm not going to dig it out right now. Matter of fact, I'm going to give them so much. Oh, look, it's not even in there. That's cool. I like when that happens. Got a little rubber gasket on, and if you want to take this little gasket off, you can. If they say something about that tiny gasket, you go in the wrong place, man. I'm telling you right now. This is a simple task right here. You unscrew this. Use your channel locks or whatever. I got to keep my pimp hand strong. This one right here is where the hassle comes sometimes. See, the screwdriver head's too big for this. There it goes. Just like that. Piece of clean brass. Now there's a brass stem in there. If you want to go after it, do so. You just put this on the ground, smash it with a sledgehammer, cut it in half, whatever you want to do. But since I gave him so much junk, I'll take that ring off, because I'm a nice guy like that. What do I think about that? Let's grab this last little piece of brass in number 2. Now, I don't go all the way through. Sometimes I do, but mostly I don't. Because it's just a waste of a blade and a little bit of extra copper. So when you get, 3/4 or so, just bend it or cut it through. It's up to you. It's your tools, your stuff. You're paying for it. Now this one's a little bit different. It has these mounting brackets on it. Hopefully they're loose enough to where I can just yank them off. Because this piece right here is going to be already ready. Oh yeah. We're getting lucky on that. Make sure you visit your local. Oh, I gotta take this one out. Visit your local plumbers, dumpsters, and offices. I'm sure a lot of them recycle, but man, you don't try. You're not gonna succeed in getting it if you don't try. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put forth effort. This whole piece, there's no foreign metal on it at all. At all. So that's a piece of number 1 copper. And that's your byproduct. Steel, tin shred, whatever you want to throw it in. Alright. On these hoses, this piece is brass. This piece is stainless or brass. The way to tell is when you run your saw and nick this up, if it sparks, it's stainless. Alright. It's going to be your clean piece of brass, okay? Now, some places they might say this is coated brass. Some places might just call it yellow, like my yard. It calls it yellow brass. It's just fine. This piece here, they will not buy here. They might buy where you're at, but they won't buy this here. They'll consider it tin shred. In all honesty, it should be dirty stainless. But to each their own, right? I don't own the yard. I just do what they tell me. Last piece on this little collection of brass and copper. This right here is copper number 2 with brass. It's soldered on. Okay, you can see that. Just like that, it's a piece of number 2 copper now. Same goes with this guy here. This is going to be zinc or die cast, whatever you call it. It's really what your yard calls it, what they pay you for on it. Get that steel bolt and screw out of there. Now on this one, that's a piece of copper right there. You can go after it if you want. I don't. I just throw these in brass. That's it for the little mess here. I'm gonna ever explain to you how I strip this wire. And I'm no strip master. I don't have none of that stuff. We barely make it as it is, but we make it. I put my knife down. I take this wire and I pull it to me. Okay? Pull the wire to you. It'll make it a lot easier than you cutting into that wire right there. If you want, find you a hard piece to put it down on, some metal, wood, whatever. When you pull that wire to you, that stuff will skim itself right there. You got a piece of bare bright copper. And I'm going to show you guys what I get over here. And if you want to take this video to your scrapyard and say what the hell's really going on, you're more than welcome. I don't mind being that guy. Bare bright. Just pull it to you. Alright, when you come to your ripples, I'll show you what to do. Maybe. Just twist that thing a little bit. Back and forth a little bit as you go through your ripple. And it'll start going. This is if you have to do it by hand. I mean, if you're rich, man, you got one of them strip meisters, awesome, dude. Proud of you. But every bit we get, we have kids, so guess what? They get it all. Then your last little piece there, if you feel like getting it off, you can or you can't, whatever. Then you can bend it, do whatever you do to get that out of there, but it comes right off. That'll be a piece of solid core wire, okay? I'm gonna have to cut this little end off, and I'm still gonna get bare bright for this wire. I get bare bright when it's not tarnished, not beat up, and it gotta be bling blingy red. I still get bare bright for it. Let's take our little piece of number 1 off. This piece will be number 1. This piece will be bare bright for me. Gotta know your yard though. Through number 2, I don't care. Tired. Alright, let's move on to some e-waste. Alright, bring it down. This goes in with the scrap metal pieces. Let me tell you something. Be on the lookout for this. Flex hose, you're gonna think it's stainless. It's brass. It's a nice little chunky yellow brass. Be on the lookout.
Already did.
Alright. Slot cards, PCI cards, PCIe cards. Many names, many different people call them many different things. What they are to me is scrap metal, especially these 56K. That's so ancient right there. If you sell that, you're selling this to a third world country that you should not be trying to get over on. These are various prices. Board Sort is paying the best. Not sponsored, not kissing ass, don't care. There's a separate price for having metal bracket, without fingers. I mean, there's so many prices. All I do to these is I take this bracket off. I call my guy. He gives me $4 a pound. He comes to me, I don't have to go to him. And grab this other one out. Same deal. This is 56K. Don't sell it to a third world country. That's all you gotta do. Don't sell this to somebody in a third world country and try to get over on them. Their internet should be faster than 56K. So take your scrap value out of that. Let's go over these boards real quick. Alright, let's weigh up these motherboards. I get the same price locally, no matter what. Unless it's a large socket. Large socket meaning this hole you can put a quarter in. That'll make it large. This is a small. This is considered a small. That's the nut. This is a large, because it's a slot card. Slot processor. I get 150 locally. So 6.8 times 150. I'll put the number up on the screen. Alright, what's next? Laptop motherboards. I think we're getting $4.50 a pound on these. Don't hold me to it. I'll put the true numbers up top. 1.6 pounds. Awesome. These are mid-grade boards. That's what they give me for them here. Now they'd be different at board sort. I get $2 a pound on these. 4.2 pounds. Slot cards. PCI cards. $4 a pound. I dropped one. Awesome. $4 a pound. Oh. I have more, so 1.8 pounds at the moment. We'll do the math. Let's weigh up this non-ferrous real quick. Alright, we're on some zeros here, and we'll just tear the bucket. The bucket's 2 pounds. This is yellow brass. 7.5 pounds. I'll find another piece or two and throw it in here. We'll make it 8. But it's 7 pounds right now. The price up top on the screen. It's just, I'll just pull this stuff out. We're on zeros. Copper number 2. Chunks. Copper number 2, we're at 1.4 pounds. So a pound of copper number 2. Copper number 1. Zeros. Yep. I might have an issue holding this stuff here. I think it was at 380 last I checked, but I'll put the price on the screen. $1.6 pound. Just messing around. I'll put all the prices up top. Bear with me. I'm going to go over these numbers real quick with you. Number 1, we had $6.08. Number 2, $5.94. Brass, $17.94. Motherboards, I didn't do the large socket. 1020 slot PCI cards, 720 mid-grade, 840 laptops, 720. The total being $62.96. 45 minutes is what it took, but I'm in the middle of editing, and it only takes me a few minutes to edit because I don't really cut much. So I'm going to give it an hour. In an hour, I threw together $62.96. Now, that's how you profit. You spend your time wisely. And just because I have methods that you don't mean either one of us are right or wrong. That just means we do it a different way. The importance is scrap and make that money and maximize your profits. No matter how long it takes you, because you're on your own clock. If you fire yourself, that's on you. Alright? Until the next one, smash that thumbs up and have a great day.